Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Hope you guys are doing all right. Um, Today I am again late but early because I scheduled it for 20:05 and it's 20:03. But that's just me these days. Hope you guys don't mind too much. Um, but yeah, how's life doing? Defresisla says, "Hey, how are you doing? You guys are my favorite crypto market people. Keep them coming. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I'm doing all right. A little bit tired. I just finished eating basically. Um, and I had too much, so now I'm like halfway into food coma. But yeah, we will manage. Love Don. That's his name. Says hi Don. That's a fan account. It's quite funny, but I'll take it. Hi hi. Hope you're doing all right, my friend. Flary Royda, long time no see. Hope you're doing okay, given all the shit that's been going on. Another beautiful day. Hello. Yes. Don, am I late? I just woke up. No, all good, all good. But yeah, there's some good news, and that's we're approaching the future of France, which is always good. We want to be the future of France. We're getting there, which is nice. Um, but yeah, we can start high time frame and then just walk down. But there's not really that much to say about the monthly. It's just tiny candles. Like something of note basically is that we've had big impulses and then we had terrible news in here and in here, and you can see that this price movement has been tiny in comparison to the previous ones. That's notable. Everything else, I mean, we're not near support, we're not near resistance. There's nothing burger basically, the monthly chart. The weekly chart, however, starts looking much better, and this is what we like to see, huh? Because same as the monthly, we've had a bunch of bad news. I mean, FTX blowing up, horrendous news, caused this candle. That's not nearly as bad as the candles before it. I think that's basically relative strength. It shows that people are not willing to sell the coins anymore, no matter how bad the news get. Obviously, if the news get bad, some people will still reconsider, but at least there's less people willing to just sell their holdings. And yeah, we're starting to break out here on the low time frames. It's a weekly. We all need to get some help, get some Jesus in our life, because this is fucking horrendous price action. We've had a tiny range in here between 16.2 and 17.2, $1K range. That's nothing for Bitcoin. But this week we're starting to walk out of it, and that's what we like to see. If we break that range high on the weekly, the next resistance is at 19K, and I think if we go to 19K, it'd just be too sad not to make this entire thing into deviation, basically a range deviation below 20K, 20K being like this is the range here, this whole bit, and then we had the FTX breakdown, and if you come back, it starts looking really good really fast, right? Because basically what that's gonna mean is that people just basically bought up the FTX news and have the bears by the balls, and that's what you want to be seeing. And you've been seeing what happens when the bears are caught in coins like Lido, Solana, all that kind of stuff, right? You just look at this. Any bears that shorted this, right, got completely blown out. Went from 0.95 all the way up to 2.7. The wick is basically an entire dollar here. And that's what you want to be seeing for Bitcoin as well for the first time in a long time, right? So that's what we're hoping for. Still need to see that weekly close, but I'm still positive. Still think there's some ways to go on this one, especially given we haven't had a single counter trend rally. The first one is usually quite explosive if that's the case. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, I have my Bitcoin, I have my ETH, and I have my Litecoin, and I have a little bit of XRP too, which has been doing well today as well. I've been getting a lot of DMs about XRP, which is really odd. Like day in, day out, I get people asking me what my XRP is doing, and it's not been doing anything. But yeah, we can talk about it. I don't know if the YouTube audience is the same as the one that DMs me all the time, but we can talk about it anyway. What do you think of the yearly bearish engulfing? Nothing. I mean, nothing. I don't really think it's relevant at all. Like, look at this this yearly candle. It's down 73%. What is this one? It's down 63%. How is this worse than this? Makes no sense. Just based on basically where the year closed. I don't really care about the engulfing stuff. I find it memey at best, because it is quite arbitrary, in my eyes anyway. And you could argue this about all the TA stuff that you do, but every time I see, like, and this has been something that's been going on for a while. I still remember the weekly time frame here. People being like, okay, this is horrendous. Look at this wick. It's going to zero, and look where we're trading right now. Like, this is the people that are like looking at the candlesticks. They short the bottom, get blown the fuck out. I do not understand it. Most people that do it, I've not really seen have much success with it, especially given these are like quite the interesting circumstances, and being down 60% on the year on something like Bitcoin. When you look at Tesla, you look at this chart and you're like, okay, how's the yearly looking on Tesla? It's the yearly engulfing. Is this going to zero? Probably not. I mean, it's Tesla. Would be kind of cool to see it go to zero, but just kidding, obviously. But like, it's just, I don't really care. PA grinding up and shaking off any bearish news, which is now the reverse compared to the bearish PA we've seen. Exactly, my friend, exactly. We got like a bunch of bearish news thrown at us. Look at the chart. Can you see it? Can you find where it was? Because I cannot. That's a good thing. That's what you want to be seeing. You want to see bearish news get sharked off, and you want to see this kind of walk up. And this is the favorite, like this is by far my favorite when it comes to Bitcoin PA. This is something that usually, and you can see, like, look at this, right? We can turn off all the nonsense, all the scribblings. Just look at this kind of pattern, right? And then look through, like, if we've had any of this during the entire downtrend, right? This sideways walk up, not quite sideways, but a little bit. Haven't had it here, right? This is like not as sustained, and it's more erratic. I haven't really had it here. Like, there's way too many like oscillation in here. Same here, it's nothing of the sort. We've had it here on to the downside, right? Where you walk to the downside. We had it a couple times to the downside, but we haven't had it a single time, besides maybe you could argue here, and this is how it usually plays out. You have walk up. Oftentimes you get like a little bit of shakeout, and then you shoot upwards. And this was the only real, like, I mean, this is a 45% bounce at the beginning of the bear market, right? But this is the only instance. And then you look through the other times where we've had this kind of PA, right? Especially in the lower time frames. And it's been most of the time close to bottoms, especially like, I mean, this is like, let me move this. So where you see it well, like these very, very small, like candles, very small pushes to the downside, but it all like walks up. And then you usually have like one little shakeout before you go. Had that a couple times during Bitcoin history. I love it when I see it. Kind of have it here too, just in a little bit of a different fashion. And yeah, I don't really use this computer much, so I'm gonna get pop-ups every time. Every time I stream, might have to think about something to do on that front. But yeah, I love this kind of price action. I cannot lie, just one of my favorite things to see, especially given it's rallying like this into resistance. Bears short the resistance, and then you get a nice pop to the upside. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. On the lower time frames, as you can see here, the range that we've been kind of looking at, we are fucked area, the nothing area, and the bullish area. We've walked through the nothing area into the bullish area, and we're very close to kind of starting to look really, really good, as in break the range to the upside. And honestly, and people keep commenting on me saying honestly too much, which I cannot disagree with. I don't know why, but whenever I have like a word that I like to say, I say it a million times, so sorry for that. I'm trying to better myself. I'm not really made to be a public speaker, I think. I just YOLO it. And I think I don't care enough too much. I don't care enough to kind of, work on myself, like stand in front of the mirror and just talk with myself. That seems super cringe. I just rather focus on the content and then have you guys deal with some of my very odd mannerisms. Say actually instead of honestly. Yeah, I mean that works, because honestly it really doesn't make much sense in the way I use it. It's just something that I do. Anyway, I'll try to work on it. But yeah, this is just a range, and the good thing about this range, and this is something Cred and I have discussed at length, is when you have a range and you do like this, and then you break out to the upside and you come back into the range, it's a bearish sign, right? That's not something you want to be seeing. Then you target the range low, right? But something that happens from time to time is that you have this, and then you actually just come back to the range high, which can be a bearish retest. So that's where we are right now, right? Exactly at the range retest area. Or more likely, because oftentimes when you have these fake outs, they just immediately go down. I mean, in this case it did, but just didn't quite manage to the range low, which is a good thing. You don't want to have weakness, and not going to the range low is just a show, like it's a sign of strength more than anything. But when it creeps back up again, there's very little reason for it to do so, right? Because everyone that's been flipping bullish at the range breakout, whatever, all the bulls have been trapped in here, right? Why would you be giving them an exit if you want to go lower? And the answer is usually you just don't. It makes very little sense. It does happen from time to time, but there's very little reason to come back to this area. So if we start breaking out, and this is why this is titled looks very good, the reason why we come back here, right? The only valid reason, or like one of the only valid reasons, is that it actually just wants to go up. And the reason it came back here is because this wasn't like a false breakout per se. I mean, it was, but it was because there was real strength. And now we're gonna have some follow through. So basically this move, if we break out above the daily range, this move down here is the trap, not this one. And then you can have some nice squeeze action, because everyone that's been shorting, especially these kind of walks up, bears love to short these. I don't know why. If I see this, I get the fuck out. If I shorted like 16.6 or like 16.9 or something, and I see this walk up, this is like, I get out. This is not something I want to be involved in, because what can happen and what often happens is just one giant candle. We haven't seen any of this, so people have been getting complacent about it, which kind of adds to like fuel to the fire, but we'll see. I'm still positioned. I think we're gonna go up. That's why I'm positioned, and I'm liking the looks of it. What is the level for the breakout? It's 17.5, basically, or like 17.5 something. I mean, if you cannot see the levels, I don't know how high, how good the quality is on YouTube. Just pull up the daily chart and just look where the closes are. And in this case, this is the highest close. That's where my range comes from, 17.5. And in general, if you like, Christian says, oh, we already broke 17K, you want to see closes above. So you don't want to just see, because you can trade above levels and still not close above them, and there's no breakout to be had. Honestly, I think you're a great public speaker. Well, I'll take it, thank you. But I don't know, I probably wouldn't do well on the stage. Okay, let me quickly check. Oh, there's a lot of comments. Let me check them real quick, and then we'll keep going with other things. What do you think of the yearly bearish engulfing? We talked about this. Volume of this breakout good enough, Duck? There's no breakout for me so far. We're in the process of making it, but there's no breakout. Delayed Santa rally? Yeah, fuck yeah. I would love it. Are we mooning, Duck? I think so. When XRP at 30, we'll talk about XRP in a bit. And no, I don't have a TikTok. The amount of yearly engulfing candles on the S&P might as well never trade. Yeah, I agree. It just doesn't like it. There's some things that just don't make sense, and I think at that point, the yearly engulfings, whatever. If you jump that late onto a trend, you're expecting like a 10-year whatever downtrend, and that's just not realistic. Don, are you positioned large in Bitcoin or ETH? ETH is still showing such strength. Do you think that holds if Bitcoin goes off? That's a good question. I have more Bitcoin than ETH, but that's just because I have a bunch of Litecoin. So if I add my ETH, my Litecoin, and my XRP, I have more than Bitcoin in those positions. But I could see Bitcoin if it squeezes. I mean, it's an if, not an when it squeezes, because I still like this is still basically the retest area, right? So this is where it starts deciding, are we just full back? Because I think if we break this level, 19K doesn't stand a chance, and then 22K is next. And at that point, the entire market is gonna be wild because people are gonna lose their minds because that's the biggest rally we've had in the downtrend. So this is the best resistance. So if you're looking for a short and you're bear hard, this is the best resistance to short. I just never short into something like this, like the walk up into resistance. Not for me. You would have to pray to God that the S&P goes down, because otherwise there's a good chance you just get blown the fuck out. But yeah, I like ETH a lot, and we're going to talk about ETH. But I could see if Bitcoin goes too violent that even ETH is going to take a little bit of a beating, but we'll see. Okay, so speaking of speaking, I love the way you said development. I mean, I don't know, am I saying it wrong? But I'll take it as a compliment. Thanks, man. Okay, that was the comments that I missed before. Let's quickly, because a lot of people talked about ETH and XRP, we'll go through ETH, Litecoin, and XRP. Those are my favorite ones anyway. And then we can talk about other stuff, and I'll keep on answering questions and whatever you guys want to do. ETH, and this is great. ETH has done what Bitcoin has not done yet. This is the range high. We broke it. There wasn't really a reason to break it, like to break above this, because we've already had the fake out. It's the same exact setup on the low time frames as Bitcoin. It's just already done so, which is good news, right? This can, this makes me more positive that Bitcoin might actually do the same thing. ETH's just front running basically, which is great. And even on the weekly time frame, right? Oh, cool. I tweeted on about something on the bottom. Well, I'll take it. Anyway, yeah, we're at resistance on the weekly, but we've tested that before, and we're making a higher high on the weekly. We didn't make a new low. If we break this horizontal and diagonal, I think 1.5K makes a lot of sense, and I wouldn't want to fade it. I don't like it. I just think it's probably gonna go up. There is more than enough time to be bearish ETH, but I mean, you've had your time to be bearish ETH, right? It's down from 5K, it went all the way down to 800. What are you doing jumping on the ETH hate train so late? I don't really get it. I just like the chart, and the chart I like even better is ETH BTC. It's at resistance, and like I said, if Bitcoin rallies, I could see this go down. I could actually see it go down quite a bit. There's like a 20% dip towards the support, but if it does, I'm gonna buy big time because I like it a lot. So if Bitcoin mega rallies, does like a 20%, 30% jump, and I mean, there's possibility for an 80% jump in my mind, but that's like the moon target. I think this 30 to 40% towards 24K, that's not necessarily super unlikely, right? And if Bitcoin does that, I could see ETH USD go up 20%, which would push ETH BTC down 20% ish. So that would take ETH towards 1.6K. ETH BTC would dip towards support, and then I think it would catch up. So I could see ETH struggle a little bit, but I'm not hating at all. And this is a very good long-term chart. And we've retested this resistance a million times. So I wouldn't want to short ETH. I don't really see the point. If anything, I would want to be buying aggressively at deep supports if something goes crazy. And I have a feeling something could go crazy given how the chart is shaping up. And that's good news, right? It's the first time in a long time that we're actually looking like we could be doing something. And maybe it's just me coping, hopium in my veins. But I mean, when the chart looks good, the chart looks good. And I've seen a lot of bears be very vocal lately. Might as well be vocal about being bullish for once, right? Because I mean, I've actually, and hand to heart, this makes me crack up every time. I've had a lot of people insult me as a perma bull, believe it or not. For the people that have been around on the channel for a while, it must be as big of a joke to them as me, because it's quite funny. But the people think I'm a perma bull now. The people of Twitter have finally realized DonAlt is the biggest perma bull on the planet, which is quite funny to me, given I was the biggest bear and known as the biggest bear. People called me perma bear during 2018. People called me perma bear during like most of this thing, even though I've just been trying to be realistic. And now I'm the perma bull, which is quite humorous, but I'll take it. It's quite, when I think it's gonna go up and then people call me the perma bull, I mean, I'm down. But I've seen people like, I get a lot of people actually commenting that I've been perma bullish since 60K, and I'm quite surprised how that works. For some reason, like, people on Twitter like to make shit up, I'm guessing. I don't know if I've been not too clear about 60K back in the day, but I felt like I was doing quite well on that front. But whatever, is what it is. Twitter is just being crazy as always. So yeah, that's ETH. I really like ETH USD, even though it's at resistance. I like ETH BTC, even though it's at resistance. But I think if Bitcoin squeezes, altcoins are probably not gonna go along. But I hope I'm wrong, because I have a bunch and I will not sell them, because I don't want to sell something that I think is gonna go up. If anything, I would just be buying more Bitcoin if I think it's gonna go up strongly. Dude, you were doing God's work at 60K? Yeah. Apparently, some people misunderstood or just make shit up, like I said. How many times has Don said, honestly? I think I've been good this episode. I don't know where this is coming from. The last episode, maybe the one before, maybe this one. The only reason why I've been saying it is because I've been talking about the topic, I think. But maybe it's invaded my mannerism on stream so much that I actually don't even realize it anymore. Take a shot every time, let's go. Yeah, we might as well make it into a good drinking game. But yeah, that's ETH. I like it. Let's look at Litecoin. That's my biggest altcoin position, and for a reason. Look at that beauty. It's just that's just gorgeous, huh? Like I don't understand how this has not been like the poster child of CT or in general trading. Everyone that's looking at charts should be looking at this, being like, oh, this is kind of sexy. Let's go. But apparently, it's just me with my trusty old Litecoin. I like this chart. We had this range here on the monthly, broke to the upside, we retested support, we're going up. Next resistance is at 120 on the monthly. You could argue, and I do have like some charts where this is indicated. It's 100 to 120, whatever, both work. But it's just a good looking chart, right? And there's nothing you can see that there's in this area to basically this area up here, this red box, let's make it blue. What is there in the form of consolidation in this box, right? Straight move, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. So we're basically in an area that has zero resistance, and we're coming from support. So you kind of have to guess that we're going to resistance just based off of that. Doesn't have to go up, but I like the setup. So I like the USD setup, so I'm in. Targeting for now 100 to 120, but I'm willing to take it further if the setup provides me good indication that it actually wants to go further up. Best case scenario for me, and I don't think this is necessarily going to happen, but best case scenario would be Bitcoin breaking out and for some magical reason, Litecoin going up with it. It's happened before, and everything else dumping. That'd be kind of the dream, because then I could theoretically kind of swap my Litecoin for other things after that pump, wherever it's gonna take it. Don't necessarily think that's gonna be the case, and I want to hold this close to the halving anyway. So like, I'm not really in a rush to sell it or to exchange it for anything else. But yeah, I'm basically looking at the halving date as an expiry date of sorts. And until then, I'm just gonna be bullish Litecoin. People are trying to bait me with the honestly talk now. It's not my fault. If you guys write it and I read it, doesn't count. Just saying, doesn't count. It's not how it works. And then on the weekly, on the USD pair, it's also looking really good, right? You had a range here. We broke to the upside, we retested it here. And now we're making new highs. That's just a good looking chart. I don't really see any resistance until 100. So I want to see Litecoin be a 3-digit shitcoin. Whatever that means, anything above 100, obviously, that's what it means. I know what it means. Don't educate me on it. That was just a figure of speech. But I want to see it go above 100, and then we'll see if that starts getting some momentum, because right now it's been going up and it's been going up steadily, but it's not been explosive, and I would like to see some explosions. I want to be in a world in which Litecoin just goes up 100% in a day. So far that's not been happening, but I just want to see it, and doesn't have to happen, obviously. I don't want to get anyone in this position. I bought it at 60, I shilled it at 60, it went up to 80, it went back to 60, I shilled it again, and now it's back at 80. Whatever floats your boat, right? If you want to be buying 83 because you think, okay, maybe Don's right, then I mean, be my guest, but I'm not trying to shill anyone into anything. I bought this shit. I want to sell it to someone higher because I think people are going to go stupid over it again. But I'm not intending to hold Litecoin forever. I'm not a Litecoin fan. I mean, there's a bunch of Litecoin fans that love me now because I've been shilling it so much. But I'm strictly shilling it for the chart setup, not for anything else. So yeah. And I showed you the USD pair. The Bitcoin pair looks even better, right? We talked about this every single week. I know that you might be getting tired of it, but it's just good looking things are worth talking about. And this is a good looking thing, huh? This is the prime setup that we always talk about. You don't really need much more TA other than relative strength and this setup, really. Like relative strength, this setup, and then like a few other things, but there's not that much that you need on higher time frames, and that is range breakdowns into reclaims. They usually produce really good results. In this case, you had the range breakdown, we had reclaim. The stronger the reclaim, as in the higher this squeeze back into the range goes, the more convincing it is. If you just have like a crawl back into the range, that isn't constructive, right? There's constructive crawlbacks, basically what Bitcoin is doing on the daily, as in like this. And there's non-constructive ones that go like this. and then come back into range barely and then just start falling back out again. Big difference there. In this case, we just had like sideways into straight up, which is the best case. It's just a really, really good looking chart. And if you guys remember last month, people kept on asking me about Litecoin, being like, hey, this is going down so much, whatever. This is what they were talking about. This monthly candle here, you can barely see it. We're trading back above the highs on that one. That's just good looking, right? I don't know what else to say. I am personally hoping, and I'm very ready to sell earlier than that, but I'm hoping that we basically, this is the range, right? From range high, low to range high, it's basically exactly a ×5, right? I am hoping that we're gonna go back to range high, but I'd be more than willing to sell earlier than that, like 0.09, like somewhere around there, somewhere around these levels. I'd be willing to, like, I think this ish, and I know it seems a little bit random, but it's close enough to the range high that I'd be willing to take some profit, maybe even a little bit lower, maybe this one. So that's where I could see myself go a little bit lighter on Litecoin. Right now, I don't really see a good reason to, especially given the trade has just started. Technically, and I know I've been in this trade for longer, but technically, this candle was the entry signal. So if this was an hourly chart, right, we would be 2 hours into the trade. And that's not a lot. You could be 10 hours into a trade before it hits your levels, right? Anyone that's been trading knows this. It's just when it's a monthly chart, people lose perspective. So I like that a lot. I like the Bitcoin pair on all time frames. Like, it doesn't matter which ones, it's just a good looking chart. I like the USD pair on all time frames. Look at this daily chart, just kind of blowing through level after level after level. It's a good looking chart. There's no real resistance anywhere. I like all of this. That's why I have it. And that's why it's my biggest altcoin position. XRP doing wonderfully. This one's a little bit more tough, but basically it's a fundamental play on betting that Ripple Labs or whatever, that XRP basically, I mean, it's kind of funny that we use it as a synonym, but it doesn't really matter. That they win the lawsuit, and the USD pair isn't really helping you too much. It's all over the place. It's chopping left and right, but the Bitcoin pair is the one that's looking quite good in comparison to a lot of other things, right? So Bitcoin pair made lows in December and never came back to it, right? This is massive strength in comparison to everything else. Let's ignore ETH, obviously. I'm curious if XRP outperformed ETH. I think it might have in the last. Well, look at that. So XRP, ETH's been the poster child for a long time. XRP's been outperforming it. Barely, but it's been outperforming. And I don't know when I do this arrow, but yeah, it's been strong. And I think betting on them winning the case is something that's reasonable. And that's something I'm doing and I'm gonna do more of if my other positions go my way. So quite excited for the XRP play. I think there's a lot of money to be squeezed out of that one if I'm right. If I'm wrong, obviously it's gonna go to shit. But in these kind of cases, if you're wrong, you're gonna lose like what, 50% of your bet, which is quite substantial, obviously. But if you're right, you're gonna make a 4x, 5x, 6x. So more than down to take those. And apparently other people are too. So I like the XRP setup. It's also like just retested support. Doesn't really matter how the chart looks to me, but it's been outperforming. It's been holding steady with ETH. Everything else been very much not doing that. So it's the reason why I own a bunch, and I'm gonna own more down the line. Okay, let me see what else. Hey Don, given your bullish case for Bitcoin and Litecoin, what do you think of the Doge chart? I really don't care about it too much. Like I've explained this before, but I think Doge is too commingled. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it's like Elon has his dirty paws all over it. And I think he's losing clout in every single way. A lot of people have kind of, I mean, the thing is, right? Elon Musk basically sells electric vehicles, which the conservatives don't really like for like obvious reasons. They're just like, fuck this electrical garbage. And then Elon Musk comes out and basically like talks very conservative, which pisses off the left, or like in general. I mean, this is mostly American politics stuff, but he pisses off the left, and those are the ones that would be buying EVs, because the conservatives are not going to be there standing in line for fucking Tesla, because they would much rather buy something that is burning fossil fuels for some reason. I mean, I don't want to get into politics too much, but he's basically pissing off both sides, or not really gaining any favors for his business side of things. And it's a whole mess, and he's the reason why Dogecoin is as high up as it is, right? I mean, Dogecoin used to trade in the 20 to 100, 150 like sat range, and now it's trading at 440. So I'd say we're deep into a bear market. This 1,600, 1,700% is what you're paying for Elon. Not necessarily all of it, because it did get into a more of a global meme, but you're paying a lot for Elon, and I think it's too much. So I'm not interested. Could go up. I mean, it's a coin that retail loves, but it's just, for me, it doesn't make much sense. I'd much rather trade stuff that I know will work, and I have high trust in Litecoin. I have high trust in like XRP. Those plays, they make sense to me. Dogecoin is just like, okay, do I get bailed out by Elon again? And those kind of trades I don't want to take. I'd just rather trade something I like. So no Doge for me. Some other big accounts starting to talk about Litecoin. Yeah, they're gonna jump on board. This is how it always goes. The Elon bubble has popped. It kind of feels like it, yeah. I read your Medium article from 17, but didn't see how you had identified the 20K Pico top. Can you talk about how you identified it a bit, please? I mean, the most recent one was pretty easy. We talked about this on stream non-stop, even while it was happening. This was the range that we had, right? I was like, it looks good, but if we have a range fake out, that's a really, really bad look. And then I was just bearish the moment we started closing below 60K. And that was the most recent one. And turned out that was quite right. I bought a couple times on the way down. I bought here. And I bought down here. I bought like pretty much most of the moves down, and then it bounced a little bit, and I got out at break even, or like 10, 20, 30% gains. Sometimes I hit like a big win with ETH, for example. I bought it below 1,000 and sold it at 1.7K. That was quite good, but that's kind of how I traded this one. And then back then, what I basically did was I was using altcoins. So back in the day, we had like a big alt season going on at the Bitcoin top. It's usually how it goes. We have retail going completely crazy over crypto at the highs, and they usually buy Bitcoin, which pushes Bitcoin up, and then they bought with Bitcoin their altcoins. That's how it used to go back in 2017, 18. And I saw a lot of altcoin flows, and all of these people had to buy Bitcoin, right? Because you could only buy altcoins by buying Bitcoin, but Bitcoin was refusing to go up, and you saw insane volumes on altcoins. So basically what I concluded was that there was a bunch of people just, if any of you just got what I was saying, I think on the video it's gonna be there, so I don't want to go over it in detail again. But let me quickly write in the chat. Basically, what happened was that you saw a lot of altcoin flow. Bitcoin refused to go up, even though a bunch of retail was buying Bitcoin to buy altcoins with, and that wasn't good. That wasn't a wasn't a good look. And then I just sold into it as well, and I missed out on a couple 2x's on the altcoins by selling into that, but I missed out also on this drop, which I was quite happy about. That was like a quite massive drop. Went down 70% in no time, and people were losing their shits, and altcoins went down 90% in no time as well. So yeah, that's that. Like a bunch of people buying altcoins, not a good look. In this case, just loss of the range high after kind of an echo bubble-ish sort of deal. And yeah, that's how I identified like this one and that one. And with the bottoms, I'm basically just looking for this, and this is the best looking example of what I just showed you in the daily chart, right? So you look at the weekly, this led to this move up, which was literally the bottom. And now you look at the daily time frame. What are we doing right now? We're doing that. And that's really, really good. And that's exactly what you want to be seeing. And as long as the S&P, fingers crossed, gives us a little bit of cover, I think we should be squeezing. But we'll see. We will see. Sonic says we missed it all. Sorry about that. If you're really interested how I magically sold the last two tops, just look at the video, I guess. But I've done plenty of mistakes in between. It always sounds, and this is something that pisses me off when I watch other people's content. They're like, oh, I sold the top and I'm so great. But you all obviously make mistakes in between. I've been quite public with how I trade this stuff. I've been quite decent this year, I think. The last 12 months have been great. But yeah, never take anything for granted that you haven't seen yourself. Like if someone says, hey, I sold this top and I sold this top and I bought this bottom. If you haven't seen them do it, and if you don't have the proof, just don't fucking trust them. That includes me. If you've been around, you obviously know, because we've had streams like this back in the day already. But yeah. That slow walk up is comparing the weekly in 17 versus the daily now. Can you talk about that a bit? Just basically means that back then this led to the bottom of the bottoms. This one could just be like it's a daily walk up. And I mean, this could continue, right? This could just transform from a daily walk up into a weekly walk up. But basically, when you have the same pattern just on different time frames, it's just exactly that. Your target should be on the daily time frame. This one, this is the best kind of case. You get like this walk up on the weekly time frame, then you're expecting weekly targets to be hit, and that was the case, right? We went to 11 and 14k. 11, 14 was here, 14k was the top, and then eventually went even higher. In this case, obviously you're looking for daily targets, right? Because we're grinding up, so your daily target is 22 and 19k. And then we have to have the weekly transform into good setup as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But yeah, we're rallying into resistance, so maybe I'm just bull tarding at the range high, but that's easy to do when you're in from the range low, right? I've got a really good entry. I got a really good entry on the altcoins as well. So there's not really too much to stress for me. That's kind of how I'm doing this thing. I'm FOMOing as I didn't buy. Would you buy net worth Bitcoin, or would rather wait till tomorrow after the CPI? I don't know. I buy range lows, so I don't have to buy range high. I don't know if I would want to buy here. Would I want to be shorting? Definitely not. Would I want to buy here? I'd rather not. This is why I buy low. Sada says I'm 100% bull tarding this resistance. I mean, we need people like you, my friend, and people like me, I guess, because I'm holding too. Fuck selling. The bears can go and fuck themselves. I don't know if I made this stream 16 or 18 plus. I hope I did. Don't want to get banned. I do swear a lot. Back in the day, I used to get a lot of comments like, "Oh, I'm watching this show with my children. It's so great." I haven't gotten these kind of comments in a while, so I don't know why that is, but I'm guessing that's why. I'm not entirely sure. What do you think about AI coins? No strong feelings. I mean, it's a good narrative, so. XRP I mean, I don't have any planned, but I'm looking for same, like, given that the news are quite big, I'm basically looking for all-time highs on if the news play out nicely. But I'm like, when my target is like an all-time high, like I wouldn't want to necessarily hold beyond $3, right, on XRP. But if that's my target, I'm more than happy to take profits in between, right? So let's say the SEC case goes well and XRP just giga moons, right? But then gets stuck at 0.7 and starts falling below this. I mean, there's a good chance I'm gonna sell, even though it's only 2x up and not 10x. That's just how I like my mental trade is. Okay, I'm gonna take this to $3. And if I get, jeez, fuck off. If I get bearish signs, I'm gonna sell, but only after my thesis has played out. I don't really see a point to do it before. Is Crypto Capo your friend? No. I don't follow him. I don't think he follows me. The only posts I see from him are stupid. No offense. And I remember being pissed at him because he was telling people to buy everything above 60K. And then I was like, this seems a little bit unwise. And it dropped to 50K. And I was like, I still saw a bunch of comments from him being like, this is going to infinity. And then it dropped to 40K. And then he started being bearish. So I was like, okay, this is quite stupid. Like this is not how you trade. But yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think like he properly turned bearish at 30K and got like a good chunk of the move correct, which you gotta praise people for. I honestly think the reason why is because a lot of the people that actually don't know how to properly trade got bailed out by the bearish macro situation, the unprecedented bearish macro situation. But I don't want to take any credit away. I mean, if you nail the trade from 13 to 17K, I mean, it's at least something, right? That's a 50% move to the downside. I was very bearish from 60K to 30K, and I bought a couple times, and I was a little bit more, like a little bit bearish towards like 20, and I've been beating the bull drum basically at 20K. Managed to get out because I didn't like the price action and got back here. So like for me, I don't know. I just trade very differently. I don't really see what this is about. Like whenever I see people that are like, he was posting at 30K that 20K would be the giga bottom, whatever. And I went to 20K and he was like, okay, now it's 18K. And then we went to 18K and he was like, it's 16K now. And then we went to 16K and it's 14. When I see that, I see inexperienced trader. Why would you be like, okay, moving price targets down? If you don't want to say, you don't say, right? Like if you don't want to be like, okay, I want to wait for positive bullish price action, that's fine by me. But if you make a big spectacle about like numbers and then you keep on moving them down, that's not how you trade. That's no one that trades does this. At least no one that's been trading properly for a while. Not that I know of anyway. But like I said, maybe I'm misjudging the guy. I don't really follow him. I just see his posts and sometimes I'm shaking my head. But that's trading, right? There's different philosophies. There's different ways to do it. Yeah, it's just, I don't like the self-important behavior either. But I mean, I can do that myself from time to time, so I get where it's coming from. Anyway, let's not talk about that. I don't want to like because people always love to pit me up against people I don't necessarily like, and it always turns into these, yeah, these 5 minutes of content that are wasted, I think, because at the end of the day, who cares, right? Let people do their thing. Don, you still hold cake? No, I sold that ages ago, and bought more Litecoin with it. So, can you look at the S&P? I can look at the S&P. Yes, look at that. Does this remind? Who's gonna be the first one to guess what this reminds me of? This current situation. Like, what coin in crypto looks a little bit similar, and is in a similar situation? First one to guess it gets a pat on the head, I guess. Abid A says ETH, and he's very correct. Yes, this is the same situation that we have in ETH. We're running into horizontal resistance, and there's a diagonal in our way. It's the same as the S&P. It's the same time frame too. If this breaks to the upside, I think there's quite a bit of way to go. Oh, a lot of people got it right. That's sweet. So basically, the S&P and ETH are looking very, very similar. And yeah, we're retesting this as resistance. Obviously, this is a red box on the weekly. But, and this is the big but, look at the monthly. We're basically in an area of support. This is the range that we're currently trading in. We've been talking about this for a while. I've been pretty high conviction that we wouldn't be really moving too much, and so far that's been holding true. A bunch of the meme stocks like GME, AMC, Tesla, all of those have been dumping pretty heavily, but the broad market hasn't been going along with it, and I think that's because we're in this consolidation phase of the market. And yeah, if the weekly breaks here, we have a lot of room to cover, and I think we would basically retest this, which would be a nice 5% move, which I think could take crypto quite a bit higher. But we are at resistance, and this is confluent resistance because we not only have diagonal resistance, we also have horizontal one. That said, this is the first test, second test, third test, fourth and fifth test. This is the sixth test. At some point, this thing has to give, and I mean, I would like to see it this time, especially given that the dollar has been showing a lot of weakness. Euro USD, it's just such a pretty chart. Look at that. I like the quarterly the best. Look at the quarterly. Just look at that thing. That's absolutely beautiful. Looks like it wants to go higher to me. Even retest the lows. I cannot hate on this, and whenever the dollar has been showing weakness, the S&P has been doing quite well. So on that front, we have a little bit of tailwind. Just hope that this actually plays out, that the S&P can break out, and then we have a lot of room to cover, both on altcoins, on Bitcoin. Like I said, Bitcoin, ETH both look good to me. ETH's been kind of front running it here with on the daily time frame with the daily breakout. Bitcoin's right at the cusp of wanting to break out, and then you have Litecoin has already broken out. Both the Bitcoin pair and the USD pair look decent. So yeah, I mean, it's finally some sexy looking charts, because I mean, this is quite the thing. Just basically looks like a parabola in its beginning, and I would like to see some more of that. Same look for Bitcoin, looks like a parabola in the beginning, and I would like to see that move. But it's not guaranteed. Don't bet your grandma on it. Don't trust me. Just do your own analysis. But it looks okay right now, and it's at the cusp of looking very good. And that's not me just trying to push my backs. I made this chart quite a while ago. I was expecting it to go up, but this is me being very objective, in a sense. So yeah. Love you, Dawn. Been paying attention. Long Litecoin from 60 with you, Chad. Love it. Very good. Congrats on the in real life success, Dawn. You'll make a great dad. Thanks. I will try my best. Abid A says waiting for my pat on the back. Thanks. I promised the pat on the head, I think, but I can pat you on the back too. It's a virtual pat on the back. How can the S&P break out with inflation at 7 to 8%, interest rates at decade high, massive layoffs, etc.? I think it can go up, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Nothing. The one thing that is gonna save your butt in trading, right? And I mean, anyone that's been trading for a while knows this, is that the moment, I mean, you have a bunch of bad news, right, that no one expects, and then prices go down, and you can be like, okay, this was the first wave of selling. We're in a little bit of shit, so I can position for the second leg, and that's fine, right? But when you have prices go down, and then you have a second leg and you have a third leg, and everyone keeps talking about how bad everything is, who's to say that that's not priced into the chart right now, right? Like the longer you're away from where this all, like the entire shit started, basically, the more likely it is that no matter how bad the situation is, it's actually starting to be priced into the chart, right? So if you're like, okay, everything is shit, it's gonna be shit at the bottom. It's gonna be horrendous at the bottom. You have on Bitcoin, for example, almost every single bottom on Bitcoin has been miner selling, right? And that's like, I mean, that's horrendous when you think about it. That's the people that have the most trust in Bitcoin is starting to sell. If I told you that, right, you're holding Bitcoin, and I come to you and I'm like, hey, dude, the people that went all into this company to kind of mine Bitcoin, and they're selling everything that they have, and they have like insider information, they have like the big company, you'd be running for the fucking hills, right? Almost every single Bitcoin bottom has been when the Bitcoin miners have been selling. Almost every single bottom has been bad news. You will never have like good news at the bottom, or very, very rarely. You usually bottom on bad news, as stupid as that sounds. And the reason is basically, and this is something that I keep on talking about a lot, is when you have bad news that doesn't lead to anything, that's the biggest sign that it's getting soaked up and it's already priced in. So if you're like, okay, 6 to 7% inflation, everything's shit, we cannot go up. I mean, that's a lot of people that think that way, right? And they sell, and they sold, and they short. And the reason why prices are so low in comparison to what they used to be is because a lot of people already sold. So, I mean, yes, fundamental reasons matter, but fundamental reasons are also oftentimes already in the price. And this is not me saying, okay, we cannot go lower. I think we can go lower, but to be thinking that we cannot bottom because the world looks like shit right now is kind of like misunderstanding the point, because it's always going to look worse at the bottom. It's just how it is. It looked horrendous when we were breaking down here. Like people were talking about COVID just ending the world order, and then the entire S&P doubled. And you can have the same thing happen here. You can have different things happen, but kind of using that as an argument is just not a good way to trade, in my opinion. But obviously, like, I don't want to like talk anyone into a position, and that doesn't, like, just because I'm saying, hey, this could be priced in, doesn't mean it has to be priced in. But the one thing that is going to cost you too much money in trading is being certain because of a fundamental thing. It's the same. We've seen that a million times in crypto, where people are like, okay, Bitcoin is getting adopted now by the big guys. It cannot go down again. We cannot have a bear market. And look at this shit. We're down 80%. Altcoins are down 98%. And we've, in fact, have had a bear market, right? So the certainty is what gets you. And the certainty is what's been blowing up people left and right. Yeah, because you knew that COVID wouldn't end the world. I mean, I'm not saying I did. Well, I don't know what you're saying. like this. I'm not saying, hey, I predicted this. I'm saying we bottomed on the worst news. Basically, we bottomed when it looked completely horrendous, and that's how it always does. I'm not saying I predicted this. I'm saying, and I think you're completely missing the point, Dr. Tenma. I'm saying it looks horrendous at the bottoms always. I'm not saying, hey, I'm the greatest guy, I predicted the S&P bottom. Even though, in fact, I actually was like, it's going to bounce from this area. But I did not expect it to make new highs. So like I was quite bearish for this because I had Chinese friends telling me about COVID way before it hit. And I was near the bottom. I was quite bullish on the S&P, but I never expected any of this. So it's not me making hindsight analysis. It's me explaining how markets work. So yeah, it's a subtle difference there. Subtle, I think is how you say it. But I mean, I get like where you're coming from, but it's very much not what I was trying to say. If it came across that way, I mean, people can say it, but I very much did not say it that way. And honestly, like, I can talk about how I caught bottoms and sold tops, but I really, like, who the fuck cares at the end of the day? It's the money in your bank account and the money that you make trading that matters. So, yeah. Anyway, that's that. I think we've talked enough. It's a little bit of a battle on the lower time frames, as you can see, around this daily level, which is quite sweet. I want to see that break, but who knows if that's going to happen. I showed you that usually when you have these walk ups, you get one dip that gets engulfed and then you start going vertical. So maybe we get that off of this resistance would look like this, towards like 17.1 and then vertical. I'd like that. I'd also like if it just goes up. Right now I'm positioned for upside, but yeah, we'll see. I watched the COVID stream with Don as it was happening and he bought there, so no hindsight. Yeah, I mean, it's like, this is the thing, it's quite funny because this is all on record, right? I mean, I stream this stuff and then people come in here like, hindsight. I mean, I traded all of this shit. It's always quite funny to me because people tell me what I did and didn't do. I'm like, I mean, I remember this quite differently, but maybe I'm like just tripping. But yeah. Congrats, you got lucky. Yeah, I always get lucky. This is like my entire career. I've been getting lucky for 5 years. Very, very fortunate child in that regard. That's my edge. It's the coolest thing in the world when you like just consistently lucky in your life. Which, I mean, I'm down, honestly. If it's all luck, I mean, it's been nice. I'll take more of it. Luck is like a superpower, yeah. I mean, if you're saying I'm just the luckiest person on the planet, I'll take it. Give me more of it. Anyway, love you guys. It's been a pleasure. Hope you enjoyed. I try to not say honestly, so anyone that's been counting can put the counter below, and I'm gonna cringe because it's been the top comment for the last weeks. So. Yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah, love hanging out. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and let's hope this breaks out and doesn't cripple us. But so far so good, huh? It's looking okay. I want it to look very good though. This is what we want. But yeah, we'll see each other. I'll be on Twitter anyway, and have a nice evening. Bye bye.